Hello friends, welcome back to another Microsoft Flight Simulator stream on our journey across the globe. We are currently in Innsbruck, still in Innsbruck after a little break. I actually went to Cancun in the real world and took a flight from EWR to Mike Uniform November down to Cancun. And now I'm back and we are back in the simulator. Tonight we are going to Rome eventually, but a lot has changed since we last jumped into the sim. Fly-by-Wire has updated their A320 mod to include the new tiller, so we're going to take that for a test drive tonight. And we're also going to retry the Innsbruck approach, since from the last video, if you recall, a lot went wrong. And I'd like to see if we can do that approach again in a more clean and successful fashion. We got the plane down. It was actually probably one of the best landings I've done on this trip, but the approach was very stressful, and we'll see if we perhaps don't repeat a lot of the mistakes we made on the way in. So with that, let's jump into the cold and dark cockpit. Once we do the Innsbruck loop, we will come back to the gate, get our primary fuel for our Rome leg on board, and then we'll get going to Rome. So let's go ahead and turn on those batteries. We have external power, so we'll turn those on. Get some lights in the cockpit. And we'll turn that crew supply on, ground control on, and start getting our aiders aligned. Go ahead and do our fire tests. All look good. And we'll go ahead and get that APU started. We're not going to be boarding any passengers for this initial round, but we will be picking up passengers on the way back. So we'll get those cockpit cabin lights on, and everything looks good on the overhead. We're also going to be using a new checklist tonight, which is far more detailed. We'll see how successful we are with that. But let's come down here. The brightness looks fine. We'll do our glare shield in a second. These look fine, and we're watching the APU start to spool up. That looks great. We'll get some more lights on down here. We're on Unicom, and we are in VATSIM tonight, although there are no controllers online. But maybe we'll hear some other traffic as we go. Alright, let's hop over to our fly pad and get our operating flight plan imported in. See, this initial leg is just LOWI to LOWI, Innsbruck to Innsbruck. And we are flying out of runway 26 tonight and flying back into runway 26, departing via the MOG-T1 Romeo departure, and we'll be coming in via the Rattenberg localizer. We'll get that programmed into the box in a sec. But first, let's get our fuel sorted. So since this is a short trip, we do have an alternate tonight in case conditions change while in the air, so that's where a lot of our fuel attribution is going to. And our alternate tonight is a Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel. Actually, I have no idea where that is. But if we look on the sim brief, let's pull up here. Yeah, it looks like that alternate is over. Oh, that's Zurich. Okay. So that is a fine alternate, but I don't think we'll need it. Oh, and we're probably going to get some turbulence on this loop, so we should be prepared for that. Innsbruck approach is notoriously windy. Zero payload tonight since we're not taking passengers on this round. So let's go ahead and load in 3651 on the fuel. Alright, that will get loaded in no time. Alright, so things are looking good so far. We don't need to load up the passengers since there are none to load. So before we program the box, let's jump into Navigraph and get our charts together. Excuse me while I log in. One day I'll remember to do this before the stream. Alright, there we go. And let's just make sure this is the right flight. So I'm going to unload this and pull in the latest from SimBrief. That looks right. And let's just go ahead and choose our arrival. Sorry, our approach. We want to do the one of the localizer approaches today. So let's remind ourselves the difference between those two localizer approaches. So for runway 26, looks like just localizer R we have the chart for. And that's from Rattenberg. Okay, perfect. So we'll go ahead and pin that. And we'll select that approach from Rattenberg. That looks pretty good. That is our loop tonight. Alright, so let's get the rest of our charts loaded. So, got our airport briefing there. Our standard instrument departure, we are departing via the Mogt 1 Romeo departure and Moti 1 Romeo. Here we are. And we'll brief this in a sec, but there are some things we'll have to be mindful of here, especially with regard to speed restrictions and altitude. All right. So we are not flying a star tonight since we're going direct to Rattenberg from Moti, but we will be flying that localizer approach. I think those are the 3 charts we'll need. So in terms of getting the glare shield set up, let's take a look at this departure. So we'll want to climb to 3930, so we'll just say an initial climb out to 4,000, and then we'll climb up to, probably just go straight to 13,000 as quickly as we can by Moti. Yeah, and since there's no upper restrictions, I think we'll just put in 13,000 for our initial climb out. Although actually no, we want to make sure we get to this as quickly as possible. So let's make sure we're actually tracking to each waypoint, but we'll try to give us some headroom. So let's do an initial climb out to 5,000 feet. See how we do. So set that initial climb to 5,000. And we'll want to set our speed as well to the max of 210. We'll see if we'll need to adjust that later, but for now we'll just throw in 210. Perfect. Okay. Alright, so let's finish setting up the glare shield. Flight director's on, landing system's off. We'll actually go ahead and turn these screens off because I think they save some frames, and we don't have a co-pilot tonight, so don't need to worry about it. Get our QNH there. Okay, so speaking of QNH, let's quickly see our ATIS. Alright, we are at 1006 millibars, so I'm just going to set that here on my panel. And 1006, perfect. So get into the box. We'll go ahead and get our information from SimBrief real quick. So data request, LOWI to LOWI, perfect. And we'll jump into our setup here. So these are still aligning, that's fine, and let's make sure we have the right engines and our air cycle is still valid, although it will be updated in 3 days. That's always exciting. Init page, let's get flight plan loaded, cost index 15, flight level 15,000, triple pause 33,990. Let's see how that compares to our flight plan. Triple pause 33,542. I think that's pretty close. 33,542. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and keep that. That's fine. That's close enough. Alright, everything else looks fine there. And did we just get alignment? Looks like we just got alignment. Perfect. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and check that. And we're all on F. Great. So, going to our flight plan and make sure our departure is set. We're departing from runway 26. The MOT 1 Romeo. And insert. And then MOT direct to Rattenberg. So we'll go ahead and clear that discontinuity. And on the approach, return, hold on. We got a duplicate LOWI here, so we'll get rid of that. And we'll clear the discontinuity. And on the arrival, we'll be doing the localizer 26R. And no star, no transition. Although, no, that'd be the Rattenberg transition, but let's see how that looks on our plan here. So, MOTI, do a nice little round. Rattenberg to Adwig. Let's see if that looks right. Rattenberg to Adwig. Great. That looks good. So if you recall, last time we were on our way to Rattenberg. I didn't actually get into the descent profile on the box, because I used the flight path to descend instead of doing kind of a managed descent, and I think that prevented the box from going to descent, and then that also triggered the decel point even though we were adjacent to it. I think fly-by-wire has fixed that bug if we're in descent mode, so we'll just make sure that when we begin our descent to Rattenberg, we are doing that via the managed altitude, and that the box actually goes from cruise into descent. So I think we're going to brief as much of this as possible before we actually get out. So we'll be at a flight level 15,000 after MOTI. And what do we want to be coming into this approach? So we'll want to be at 9,500 at Rattenberg. So we'll just do that calculation once we're in the air. Alright, so I think at this point, let's go to our RadNav page and put in various VORs or NWs you might want to use. So the ILS is already programmed in 111.1, perfect. We'll probably want to put in a Rattenberg just to make sure we can track it. Let's see, anything on the departure? No, nothing on the departure that stands out. So it will be entirely on this approach. So Rattenberg and Rum. So let's put our TT on this first one. And we'll do Rum on this second one. 320, 303, that all looks great. Yeah, okay. We'll just make sure that's selected here. And, yep, there they are. Perfect. All right. Back to init B. So we should be fueled up by now. Yeah, that looks right. So we'll just go ahead and make sure that jives with our operational flight plan. 0 fuel weight of 42.5. Perfect. I love when it matches. And our block fuel will be 3.6. And I don't think we need to worry about winds too much. Yeah, tailwind of 3 knots, but we'll put in there just to be complete. Not going to change fuel all that much. And let's go down the fuel. So trip fuel is fine. Contingency is 0.6, 1.1 alternate. 0.6. 1.1. And what's our final reserve there? Final reserve is 0.8. And that leaves us 13 minutes of additional flight time. Not a problem. I don't think we'll need the alternate. So I think we'll be fine for that tonight. And finally, performance. So let me pull up. I have a performance calculator in Excel that I use. If we can do a flex takeoff, I usually like to. So I'm just pulling up that model now. And let's pull up our charts again about the runway here. Ah, this is actually the wrong chart. That's not what I wanted. Unpin that. We want this one. Perfect. So runway 26. That is pointing at 257 degrees. Elevation on average, it's 1,900 feet. The length in meters is 2,000. And our wind today, very light wind, so from 180 at 2 knots. Outside air temperature is 1 degree centigrade. QNH is 1006. Runway conditions are dry. Let's actually just confirm that. I'm just using a visual on how the simulator looks, but let's actually look at the weather report here. Make sure there's nothing to be aware of. Okay, so light winds, great visibility. Yeah, that's pretty beautiful. I don't think we'll need anti-ice tonight based on this. There doesn't seem to be visible moisture in the area. So, let's finish this calculator here. Say takeoff weight in tons is going to be 46, nice and light. We want to try a flex takeoff. Our configuration, we're going to be in configuration 1. We'll have the packs off, anti-ice is off, and takeoff center of gravity based on the box. I think we had at, we'll assume 25. Alright, so that might be too short a runway for flex. I think we'll need to do... Oh no, actually, Toga's not working either. How did I break this model? I mean, am I perhaps too light? Let's see, did I do this correctly? 46 tons. Ah, okay. Interesting. So it's actually recommending configuration 2 tonight, probably because of the altitude. Yeah. Let's do config 2. That is giving us a flex value of 64 degrees, so that should work. Alright, so flaps 2, and it's recommending 0.8 up. Sorry, flaps 2 up 0.8. Flex temperature of 64 degrees. Transition altitude. Good question. What is that here? $10,000 feet. Okay. We'll be through that in no time. And engine out and thrust reduction, that's all fine. Based on current elevations. So let's see the calculated V1 speeds. We'll probably use the calculated ones here. So 121, calculating 113, 115, and 119. So do I want to be conservative or do I want to trust this calculator? Let's be conservative. Let's just have a slightly higher takeoff speed. And that looks great. While we're here, we're going to pre-select our speed restriction. So we want to be at 210 knots. So we don't need to worry about that. And what else? I think to save time, since it's going to be a pretty quick circuit, we should program our approach. So the QNH we're going to assume is going to be the same. Temperature outside is 1 degree. The winds are calm, 180 at 2 knots. Alright, sorry about that. My kid keeps waking up, so he may be interrupting every now and then. Alright, so where were we? Oh yes, the approach calculations. Let's see, there's a different transition altitude on the way in. That says by ATC, so we'll leave it at 11,000 feet, that's fine. And what are our baro minimums coming into this approach? So let's see. Oh yeah, Class D. Definitely not landing here. Alright, Class C aircraft, I think we're looking at... okay, that's based on the climb approach gradient. We can maintain a 5% gradient, so we'll do a baro of 2250. Alright, that is all in. Alright, so on the takeoff page, looking good there. We'll close our charts for now, and we're next. So at this point, let's go ahead and brief our emergency procedures. So if there's any issues on the way to the runway, we will bring the airplane to a complete stop, contact ATC, who is offline right now, and alert them to our situation, and then go through any ECAM instructions as necessary, and make the call whether to come back to the terminal or to continue with the flight. If there's a failure on takeoff below 100 knots or V1, we will call out the malfunction, and I will call stop or go. If I call stop, I will apply the rejected takeoff procedure and bring the airplane to complete stop. I'll set the parking brake and call attention crew at station. I will also monitor reverse green and decel and silence any oral warning and inform ATC of the issue, and carry out any ECAM actions. If evacuation is required, we'll carry out the emergency evacuation checklist. If there's a failure after V1, takeoff will be continued. There'll be no further action before 400 feet AGL, except silencing of any oral warning and gear up. Reaching 400 feet AGL will go through ECAM actions. For an engine failure, damage, or fire, when the engine is secured, we'll stop ECAM, level off, accelerate, clean up. If engine is not secured, we'll continue climbing until the engine is secured, but not above the engine out maximum acceleration altitude. At green dot open climb, we'll select MCT on the throttle. We'll resume the ECAM, complete the after takeoff checklist, and check the status. And then we'll either fly the engine out routing, fly the SID, radar vectors, or immediate turn back. In our case, I think we just kind of continue flying the flight plan and come back to Innsbruck on this leg. All right. Great. So let's do another round up here. We'll turn our fuel pumps on at this point, since there are no passengers boarding. That looks good. We'll go ahead and get our beacon on, because we're just about ready to push back. APU is running. I'll go ahead and lock that door. Alright, I think we are ready to go. So let's go ahead and call that tug. Oh, well, actually, sorry, disconnect from external power. And now we'll call that tug. This tug may be invisible tonight. Not a problem. Let's check our taxi route today, just to make sure we know where we have to point. I think it's pretty simple. We'll push back and face east and take taxiway Bravo 1 to Bravo. We'll have to back taxi to get the most runway beneath us. And we'll call that out on a Unicom. Great. Innsbruck traffic, Lufthansa 9084 at Innsbruck. Stand ready for push and start. Alright, heading back. Oh, there is snow on the ground. It was not evident before. I probably should put that into the calculator. No problem, though. But as such, we will probably want to have the anti-ice systems on, in case we accumulate on the ground through the engines. Speaking of, let's begin start procedure, ignition, engine 2. Oh, APU bleed would help. There we go. Check our hydraulics. Yeah, the system is coming online. Alright, engine 1 start. That nose gear. Make sure actually the right control profile is set for that, because I'm not getting any tiller control yet. Yeah, it's the right one. Oh, nope, that's actually the wrong assignment. So, actually clear. We want mixture 4. I'm glad I checked this. Mixture 4 axis. This one. Apply and save. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's much better. Beautiful. Wow. All right. Okay. The engine is available. So we'll go ahead and do our after start checklist. Engine mode selected to normal. Ground spoilers armed. Rudder trim is at the 0. Flaps we're doing configuration 2. Pitch trim is set to up 0.8. Actually see how that compares to flight controls. Pitch trim 0.8, perfect. ECAM status looks good. We'll go ahead and turn the APU bleed off. We'll get that engine anti-ice on, wing anti-ice on, and APU off. Go ahead, we're going to squawk 7000, go to auto, TARA. We'll get our weather system on, even though it is in op. And for taxi, we'll go ahead and start lights to taxi, strobe to auto. Runway turn off lights are on because it is nighttime. Parking brake is off. And pressure test, check at 0. We'll apply pressure once the plane is moving. We'll do a flight control test. Ooh, whoa, wow, we're actually moving because we're so light. So brake test passed there. For flight control, let's go ahead and do that. So full right, neutral, full left, pitch down full, neutral, pitch up, neutral, and then we'll do our rudder disconnect. And rudder left, and rudder right. And let's see if that nose wheel is staying nice and straight, because that disconnect. Fantastic. So the tiller system works. Alright, so now let's actually see it in action as we start rolling. So I'm using the Thrustmaster twist axis here. So I'm also using the alpha yoke for pitch and roll. I have Logitech pedals for rudder control. I also have the Honeycomb Bravo for, oh wow, oh this is awesome. Oh wow, that will take some getting used to because there is a bit of a delay. So we'll have to practice like those hard 90-degree turns. So we'll want to be under 10 knots when we do those turns. It's really hard on such a light airplane. Innsbruck looks beautiful. Alright. So we've got nice and slow. And we'll want to be front third and begin our turn. Let's see if I can do this right. Not bad, not bad. That was still a little early. I'm not going to complain about that. I am really enjoying the tiller, wow. And rudders, when I try the rudders, yeah, they're definitely nowhere near as sensitive as they were before, which should make takeoffs far more accurate. So we'll follow this line here. Oh, I should have called backtaxiing. I was so excited about the tiller, I forgot to call backtaxi. Hopefully no one is on approach. Innsbruck traffic, Lufthansa 984, backtaxiing runway 26 at Innsbruck. Do a hard turn here. Really well implemented. Wow. Runway 26 check. Just off that center line, but we'll stay here. And go ahead, get those landing lights on. Notice the takeoff, strobes on. Auto brake on a max, a cabin check.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Takeoff config test, config normal. And we are ready to go. Oh yeah, let's set our speed bug to 215 knots. And let's roll. So N1 to 50%. And stable. Oop, parking brake. Haha! Man flex SRS. Rudders feel great. 100. B1 rotates. Positive rate gear up. Climb. Thrust climb. Speed Alt Star. Autopilot is activated. Flaps 1. Green dot is really low because we're so light. Next we'll have to increase altitude to 9,000. And we'll do open climb.
2,500.
Let's get that chart up. Make sure we are keeping up with the altitude changes. Yeah, at this point, let's just go to 13,000. We can get to that pretty quick on such a light airplane. And we'll go ahead and clean up the rest of the cockpit. So spoilers disarmed. Lights. And anti-ice. We also left the packs on. We're a little sloppy in terms of procedure there. We'll try to do better next time. Lights off. And QNH is standard. Speed Alt Star. And let's just clear ourselves to 15,000. Enjoy some of these views. We're gaining altitude. And I think we are cleared of the speed restriction. Go ahead and accelerate. It's going to be a hard turn back to Rattenberg. So again, this is going to be very quick. So let's take a look at our approach here. So we want to be at 9,500 feet by Rattenberg, and that is clear of these altitude restrictions from what I can tell. So once we make that turn, we'll get ourselves down. Alright, we're on cruise mode, which is perfect. Here's our turn. Eight minutes out from Rattenberg, 45 nautical miles. Let's just see here. So current altitude, we want to get to 9,500. We need 17 nautical miles. So we'll start that at about 25 miles out. There's some turbulence there. Getting back on course. So from Rattenberg, pretty quick to get to Adwig. We want to start configuring, I think, even before we get to Rattenberg, just to be on the safe side. That's kind of what bit us in the butt last time. So once we get to 9,500 feet, we'll start configuring the plane for landing. Very bumpy. Alright, let's begin that descent to 9,500. Did that knock us into descent mode? It did. Perfect. That's what we want. Okay, get those landing lights back on. Set that auto brake to low since we're so light. Yeah, so there's our decel point. It's pretty deep in there. You see here, we're not even going to make it to Rattenberg, and we can't overfly it because the overfly function does not work. See if that changes as we slow down. Speaking of any speed restrictions, doesn't look like it. Does not look like it. Let's get the landing system on. We're tracking the localizer there. It also has a glide slope, which tripped us up the last time as well, because it didn't lock on, but I didn't know if that was because the plane modes were all messed up as well, so we'll test that again as well. So the plane is slowing down. That's a bit more of a reasonable curve. Continue our descent below 10,000. We'll go back to standard QNH. And let's go ahead and activate that approach phase. Nope. There's doing that thing again. So it might just be with this particular approach. Heading mode. So we'll overfly Rattenberg. And then we'll do direct to Advig. Very curious why it wants to do that. Alright, we're at green dot speed. At this point, I feel comfortable with, because the green dot is so slow, I think we'll just stay here for a bit. Okay, we're starting to break from the flight plan here. Just so it doesn't have to be such a steep turn. We'll get a bit closer to Rattenberg and then get ourselves lined up. What's our next altitude there? We're going to want to intercept at 9,500 feet, so that's fine. If the glide slope works, then we should be golden. If it doesn't, we'll have to fly the flight path angle, which for this approach is, I recall, being pretty steep. For some reason I'm not seeing it here. Oh, there, 3.77 degrees. Alright, let's get back onto managed heading mode. Now we're tracking Advig. Perfect. And once we are heading for Advig, we can start getting our flaps in, because at that descent angle, it will be harder to slow down later. So we'll set the flight path angle mode there. So we're ready for that. We'll arm the approach now. Cat 1, Cat 3 single. Glide slope and loc are armed. And let's start configuring. Speed check flaps 1. Speed check flaps 2. We'll go ahead and get landing gear down. Spoilers are armed. Drives on and set the taxi. Autopilot 2. Cat 3 dual. I probably should have done direct to Advig. That would have been more straight, but we are just intercepting the GPS path. That's fine. Not a problem. We're nicely below the glide path. And let's see, 1.5 nautical miles from Avid. Let's go ahead and go to flaps 3. See, check flaps 3. And flaps full. Fully configured for a landing. See what the go around altitude is. If we get on the glide slope, 11,500. Okay, so we'll be ready to change that if this glide slope actually works. Otherwise, we'll have to go into vertical speed mode and do our descent that way. Loc star. And loc. And this is an offset localizer. You can see that because the runway in the distance is kind of angling to the right. We're about to intercept that glide slope. Glide slope star. Wow. So it is following the glide slope. That did not happen last time, probably because we were going too fast to maintain the glide slope. Glide slope? Armed? Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and set our missed departure altitude. Sorry, missed approach altitude to 11,500. And we are heading back to Innsbruck.
2,500.
Also, last time there was so much fog that we couldn't actually see Innsbruck. This is a much more stunning approach than what we had last time. Oh, I think the ECAM updated because of the radio altimeter, but that's been coming in and out because of the terrain beneath us. We are going so slow. I didn't need to worry so much about slowing down on such a light airplane. I keep forgetting we have no passengers on board right now. Enjoy some of that scenery down there. Night approaches are really stunning. Innsbruck traffic, Lufthansa 984 on 10-mile final to runway 26, Innsbruck.
$2,500.
Radio altimeter is alive. At 1,000 feet, I'll probably take it off autopilot and properly line us up on that runway. Those PAPI lights are indicating we're a little high, but that might be set to a 3-degree angle. Since we're coming out a bit steeper, that's probably correct. Might just be a flight simulator thing. Alright.
$1,000.
Get a bit more lined up. Just making very small adjustments. Still high on the PAPI. Get back on that center line. $500.
100 above. 400. Minimum 300.
Continue.
$200. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard.
Little off center line there, but what can he do? That wasn't decel. Knots. That could have been worse. But I overall feel better about that. Alright. Liking that tiller. Go ahead and do our after landing checklists here. Innsbruck traffic, Lufthansa 984, clear of runway 26 Innsbruck. Let's see. Alright, so ground spoiler is disarmed, landing lights retract. Strobe back to auto. And we'll get that APU started. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, whoa, whoa. What is happening there? Oh, that's not good. That's a very strange bug. Something locked? With the zoom level broken? Wow, this is terrible. Definitely something with zoom level. My input controls seem dead too. Alright, we may have to unfortunately reset this. I was hoping to do a turnaround procedure. But yeah, I don't think there's any way around. Just gonna see if there's anything. Nothing seems stuck. Checking SPAD next to see if there's any rogue inputs. But I'm seeing none. Doing something fishy with that zoom level. Or that was the wrong thing to do, because now I have no mouse control. Alright, I am going to reset the sim. See if that helps. That's really unfortunate because now I have to go back to cold and dark and get set up for our flight to Italy. But I guess there are worse things. Okay. Alright, so we're back in our cold and dark cockpit. And let's go ahead and get ourselves ready for our actual flight tonight to Rome. External power connected. Crew supply on. Ground control on. Get the aviators aligned. Go ahead and get the lights on. And we'll keep the pumps off for now. We'll do our fire tests. Nope, don't want that. Yeah, all good. We'll go ahead and get our APU started. 1, 2, 3. And nav and logo lights. Great. So, just to recap, we are in our Lufthansa livery tonight. Oops. That's right, that just getting some other technical difficulties taken care of. But yes, we are here at Innsbruck, heading to Rome tonight. Short hour and 40-minute flight. We just did a cycle around Innsbruck to try that approach again. And it was more successful this time. Landing could have been better, but we still encountered that interesting bug where the plane wanted to turn towards the initial approach fix far earlier than it really should have. It might just be a quirk with the Innsbruck approach, not necessarily with the fly-by-wire mod, but we'll see if we encounter any additional issues heading to Rome tonight. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I need to set up SimBrief for this flight, so we're going to do that really quick here in the background. We're going to Lima, India, Romeo, Alpha tonight, and our alternate is Naples. Fantastic. Alright, we'll go ahead and generate this flight plan. And I'm just going to download that for vPilot. Go ahead and launch vPilot and get that new flight plan uploaded. And file. Great. Flight plan is filed. So, let's jump back into the cockpit. And go ahead and complete the cockpit preparation. So since we are taking passengers this time around, let's jump in the box and just get that process going since we have our APU up and running. So weight and balance, and let's get our latest data from SimBrief. Perfect, 174 passengers. And start the boarding process. Whoa! Oh, I still had that on instant. That's a shame. Let's jump into the fly pad. We will change that setting for next time. Could be worse though. We did lose a lot of time with the issue we just encountered. But our latest flight plan is loaded up. And that all looks good. QNH is the same between Innsbruck and Rome. Interesting. So operating flight plan, oh well actually, no, before we jump there, on the realism, boarding time, real, there we go. Operating flight plan, looks good. Alternate is Naples, we're going from Innsbruck to Rome. Flight number, Lufthansa 9084, cost index 15, flight level 370, triple pause 34,000. That looks fine, nice tailwind. Help us make up some time. Yeah, and looks like a pretty smooth flight as compared to our Innsbruck approach, which was pretty bumpy. Let's take a look at the weather. We know that the weather in Innsbruck is gorgeous, but let's take a look at the destination. That's Ciampino. Wind out of 50 at 5 knots. 10 variable 14. Oh, interesting. Great visibility, broken clouds 3500, 12 degrees. Everything looks fantastic. So this will actually just be a beautiful weather flight. There is snow on the ground here at Innsbruck, so we will be using anti-ice on our departure. Just prevent, any issues when we inject snow into the engines on the takeoff. All right. I'm just reviewing our checklists here. I have to remind myself that we haven't actually done everything. So, starting with our should get some more integrated lights on here. Okay, we're going to set water brake to max. Oh, it won't let me yet. Interesting. Okay, we'll do that later. Oh, I'm fumbling over myself. Fuel, 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 fuel. So tonight's planned bulk of 5423. Alternate requires an additional 1.3 tons. Great weather tonight. I don't think we need to take anything extra, so we'll pump in 5423 into this. Start that going. And everything looks good here for now. Let's get that ATIS in though. We are at QNH 1006. Looks a bit better. Okay, so cockpit is prepared. We'll just need to prepare the box next. And we'll do the glare shield. Actually, let's do the glare shield now. Sorry guys, I feel all over the place. That bug really threw me off. So let's load our new flight from some brief Innsbruck to Rome. Fantastic. Let's take a look. Interesting. Oh, this has us on runway 8 on the departure. And that's probably because the winds are so light and variable. Or sorry, just light in general. That really doesn't matter which runway we're using tonight. That does seem to be the case, yeah. So we'll have the winds largely at our back on the takeoff. It's a mild 4-knot wind. Alright, because if you notice, we actually took off runway 26 on the flight we just did earlier in the stream. Alright, so we're doing the Bren to Juliet departure. Let's take a look at that chart. So get our airport chart loaded and Bren to Juliet. There it is. Alright, what do we need to know about this? So this is very important here. Max 165 knots. This is a very tight turn, and if you did this turn any faster, you would crash right into the mountains. You're doing a more than 180 degree turn in the valley. So that makes this departure a little treacherous if you're not especially careful. We'll make sure we track the appropriate rad navs. But yes, we'll do this. We'll want to get to 7,500 feet pretty quickly. Then we'll do this turn at 165 knots. And then I think from there we can clear ourselves to cruise since ATC is not online. From here, are we going to Brno? We are going to Brno. And that will be our ticket out of Innsbruck. Great. We'll worry about our arrival charts when we're in flight. But for the purpose of our glare shield, let's make sure we put that 7,500 initial climb out in there. We got 7,500 constraints, and we'll configure these when we do the box. But for now, everything else looks pretty good. Jumping to the box. Well, actually, let's do our ECAM check. Hydraulic quantity looks good. We have oil quantity. And we have oxygen pressure. All right. Looks like our fueling is done, so we'll go ahead and get those pumps on. And we'll tell our passengers to buckle their seatbelts. something I did forget on the initial flow there, strobe light to auto. Okay. Everything is looking good. Let's continue with the box setup. So go to data. IRSs are all on nav. And we have the right engines loaded and the latest ARAC cycle. Good. Go to the init page, request our data from SimBrief. And everything looks good here. Innsbruck to Rome, Naples is our alternate. Lufthansa 984's call sign. Class index of 15. Cruise is 37,000. Triple pause is 33,250. Let's see how that compares to the latest OFP. 34,176. So we'll put that in instead. So 34,176. All right. Go to our flight plan. We are doing the, first of all, we're taking off runway 8 and the Bren to Juliet departure. Let me just double check that. Bren to Juliet departure. Perfect. To Breno. And let's just make sure that looks good on our plan. So yes, over to Rum, big turn over here, and then we will then proceed. Oh, well, yeah, this is rendering strangely, I think because we're on the ground and not speed. This should look better once we're on takeoff, but if not, we'll just make sure that we track to Oscar Echo Juliet before we make that turn in the valley. So we might be manually flying this for some time, and that might be actually fun to do. But we'll want to play it safe as well. But anyway, once we get here to in and then off to Breno, we look good there. There's the discontinuity that we can just go ahead and clear. And then we'll be on our way. Great. Great, great, great. Continue with the box. Let's look at the rad navs. This is where we'll have to pay some attention because these will help us get out of here safely. So, OEG, so localizer DME. Let's get Rum in. And then OEJ. I'm guessing we put in the localizer. That work? Yeah, 109.7. Interesting, because it's not a VOR. And that course is 65 inbound, outbound. So I guess it's, don't know what the abbreviation is, but let's try this. T for 2. Will it like that? No. Inbound 065. Yeah, I haven't figured out how to use this course field. Definitely doesn't like that. There's definitely some prefix. So D for depart. No. Interesting. Okay. We'll leave that blank for now. But I would love to know how to use that. So if anyone watching knows the appropriate input to have the 65-degree course show up, that would be fantastic. Alright, so that looks good for now. I'm actually going to, yeah, no, I think that's fine. We could put Innsbruck as well, so let's do that on the other one. So we know where to point to after that turn, and this will actually enable us to fly this manually if we have to. So we'll go ahead and get those ADFs on, and they're both registering. Great. Alright, that's the RadNav page. Back to init B, 0 fuel weights. See how that compares to our 60.5, actually 60.6. Yeah, 6.6, perfect. And 24.1, 0 fuel weight center of gravity. Put that in. And we are carrying 5.4 tons of fuel. And we had that light tailwind of 9 knots. So we'll put that in. Tail and 9. And let's get the other fuel parameters in there. So 0.6, 1.3, and 1. 0.6, 1.3, and 1. Leaves us 10 minutes extra fuel. That is fine. That is fine. Alright. Finally, performance. So let me pull up that calculator again and see if we can do another another flex departure now that we're going to from the other runway. So we're doing runway 8 this time, so we'll have to change the direction to 77 degrees. Elevation length, that all stays the same. The wind, let's get the latest on that, because it looks like it has changed directions. It was coming at 180 degrees before, but now, oh, it is still 180 degrees at 2 knots. Huh. I feel like I had winds so much different. Anyway, that's fine. Outside temperature is now a -1, so it's gotten a bit colder. QNH is still 1006 millibars. Runway conditions, we're going to call it compressed snow. And our takeoff weight now is a lot heavier, so this may actually necessitate a toga takeoff. So our takeoff weight is now 66 tons. So we'll need to do toga. And we'll need to do a configuration 2 at least. We'll keep the packs, we'll have the anti-ice on. We'll do engine only. I don't think we'll have issues with the wings. But yeah, there is our calculations. Oh, and toga center of gravity. Sorry, I'll just use this 0 fuel weight one as an approximation. And that will just be 1 up. Okay, cool. So on the performance, we're going to do a flaps 2 configuration and up of 1. This will be a toga takeoff, so no flex temperature there. Transition altitude didn't load this time. Where is it? 10,000 feet. Thrust reduction and acceleration altitude and engine out altitude, that's fine. And let's see the calculations here. It's close. That's pretty close. We had a V1 of 124 in the calculator. What's our rotation? Rotation speed is 129. You know what? I'm going to override that. The calculator wants us at 140 on the rotation, and single engine 145. Okay, that looks good. So the box is set up. Just to save time, I'm not going to do our emergency briefing. It is basically the same as last time, except if we were to actually have a failure on departure, what would we want to do? We'd want to do a missed approach on runway 8. And let's see what that looks like. Climb 9500 via RNAV, misapproach track to Rattenberg and hold. So we'll do a fix at Rattenberg. And we'll do our hold there. And what does the Rattenberg hold look like? It looks like downwind of 45 degrees. Oh, that's interesting. Kind of indicates that you would enter the hold to the left of Rattenberg, but this is kind of going in reverse. So let's see. Okay, well, I won't worry too much about the whole procedure since we'll probably not need to use it, but I will put in the 45-degree radial in there. Let's see that. There it is. Perfect. Alright, so that is engine out. So we are ready to go. Let's go ahead and do our before pushback checklist. APU masters on. We'll get the APU bleed on. We can get that external power off. Let's get that tug attached. Kind of sounds like, oh, sorry, the engines were spooling up. I'm like, why are they spooling up? We hadn't reset the Bravo throttle after the failure last time. I'm like, is there another plane here? But no, we are all by ourselves. Okay. All right. So let's do our call. Innsbruck traffic, Lufthansa 9084 at Innsbruck, stand ready for push and start. I'll go ahead and release that parking brake. And start hanging back. Bye, dude. Alright, well actually let's get that beacon on. Just get set to ignition and we'll start engine 2. Ooh, nope, we want to go this way. I've done worse pushbacks. Parking brake set. Oh, should start that. Oh, let's get our engine anti-ice on. Engine 2 is available. Engine 1 start. Oh, something I did want to do actually here is pre-program our climb speed because of the restriction on the departure. So make sure that was 165 knots. 165. Done. Alright. Engines look good. We'll go ahead and get our mode selector back to normal. Ground spoilers are armed. Rudder trim is set to 0. Flaps are set to configuration 2. Pitch trim we are setting to 1 up. So on our flight control page, one up. ECAM status check. APU bleed off. Anti-ISS required and APU master off. So for taxi, let's set that to taxi, to on. Let's do our pressure test, the brakes. We are not rolling this time because we're nice and heavy. So let's give it a little roll. Do a little test. Brakes, yeah, brakes work. Let's go ahead and test flight controls. So, full left, full right, neutral, full down, full up, neutral, rudder disconnect, full left, full right, neutral. Alright, we're starting our rollout, and we'll use our tiller. So awesome. Ooh, ooh, what's happening? What's happening? What just happened? Sorry, everyone, I don't know what that was. Alright, predictive weather on auto. Standby. Auto brake set to max.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
And takeoff config test. Normal. Great. We are now rolling to runway 8. It's so much easier to stay on the center line now with this tiller. Slow down a little bit for this turn. And the holding point is coming up right there, so we'll prepare for a nice soft stop. We'll do our pre-takeoff checklist and then do our radio call. Alright. For takeoff, brake temperature. Looks good. Nose set to take off. We want our landing lights on. Strobe is on. Before takeoff checklist below the line. So go ahead No one's on approach. We know this from VATSIM. So I will just do the call. Innsbruck traffic, Lufthansa 984, back taxiing runway 8 at Innsbruck. Take a look at this sock as we drive by. Yeah. Basically not a breath of wind. Where's the turnaround line? I don't see it. Well, we'll just do it ourselves. Start to round out. Ourselves back on that center line. Maximum amount of runway. Alright, that looks pretty good. Innsbruck traffic, Lufthansa 984, lined up runway 8, ready for takeoff, Innsbruck. Alright. N1 to 50%. And toga thrust. Man, toga SRS. Knots. B1. Rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Speed selected 165. We're going to fly manually. Speed check, flaps 1. Thrust climb, climb. Track to Oscar Echo Juliet. Oh, TCAS on standby. Let's fix that. Up ground spoilers. Forgot to set the chrono. Get those lights off. speed, Alt star. Oh. Automatic heading mode there. So we'll activate the autopilot. And once we get close to OHA, then we'll do direct Innsbruck. And then we'll continue our departure out of here. So let's go ahead and do that now. Direct to Innsbruck. Direct. Nav mode. And we are now doing our turn at 165 knots per the SID. Alright, let's turn anti-ice off. Again, I forgot to turn the packs off for takeoff, but that's fine. Alright, looks like we're going to make this turn fine. Just want to make sure we are actually going to be direct Innsbruck. No, it's going back. Oh no, it's going back to the plans. Let's try that again. Direct Innsbruck. Direct. Better. Okay. That looks better. Alright, now that we're on our way there, let's take a look at our chart. No more altitude restrictions. Let's go ahead and clear ourselves up to cruise, which is flight level 37. And then we'll say bye Innsbruck. Thrust climb, climb. Actually, open climb. Yeah. And we'll go back to manage speed. We'll clean up the flaps. Check. Just want to see if there is an automatic flap retract. Yep, there it goes. Flaps retract when the slats are open. Let's close the slats up. Fully clean this up. Just wanted to see if that actually worked. Turning as we head to Breno, and that will be the end of our SID. Show you some of these views while we have it. Alright, about 10,000 feet. Get landing lights off. And set the standard QNH. So long, Innsbruck. It's been fun. It really has been fun. That was a really good approach. At this point, we can clear our rad navs. Off we go. Some bumps coming out. Release the flight attendants. Is that how that works? So it is 4 Zulu 5 local time. I wonder if we will see a sunrise on this flight now, since it's so late. I've been doing these flights at real time, so we've actually been flying through the night for a while, since I usually do these flights in the late evening East Coast time. But we're getting to the point now where we're getting far enough east where we're going to start flying in sunrises. So as we continue our climb to 37,000 feet, let's just recap what I've been doing here. So this is the 10th flight of a round the world journey where I'm taking this fly-by-wire A320 around the world 2-hour legs at a time. I'm doing it in 2-hour legs mainly because I don't have a ton of time to devote to longer flights. Also, the A320 is not really designed for kind of long-haul oceanic flying either, so to kind of get this thing across the Atlantic, there's actually very few routes it could take in one shot. It is possible, but for the purpose of my available time, we've had to do this in 2-hour legs. But that's made this a very interesting journey because the routes we have to take are pretty unique. To make it across the Atlantic in 2-hour hops requires some creativity, especially looking for runways that can accommodate an A320 landing and taking off. So to recap, let me just hop back into NavGraph, clear out some of these, get a better view of the world here. So we started our journey 9 flights ago. This is lagging a bit. Here in Newark, New Jersey, we flew up to Montreal, made our way to La Grande Riviere, then from La Grande Riviere to Iqaluit in the very northern province of Nunavut in Canada, which is actually a very, very beautiful flight. I saw some really awesome lighting effects being that far north in Flight Simulator. And then from there we cut over to Greenland, and then from Greenland to Reykjavik, Reykjavik to Scotland, Scotland to London, London to Innsbruck, and now we're heading to Rome. And from Rome we're going to head to Athens and then start making our way through the Middle East, India, into Southeast Asia, and continue around the world journey from there. But there's going to be about 37 flights in total, unless we find interesting places to divert to. Innsbruck was one diversion. I was originally going to go to Stuttgart, but then I heard about the challenging approaches at Innsbruck, and it was highly entertaining to do. So the plan right now, at least for the next few flights, is Rome to Athens, and I think from Athens to Cairo, if memory serves. And we're trying to follow real-world procedures as closely as possible. I'm not a pilot yet, at least. I'm still learning myself. So I'm hoping to use this channel and these streams to share what I have learned with those that are just starting out, but also if the community would like to engage and kind of help share things that they've learned over time to make my flying better, that would be fantastic. That would be the true win-win scenario of this channel. Oh, the Alps really are stunning. I'm very excited to see how this all looks when the Alps bleed into, you know, the more flat terrain of Italy as we get closer. So we'll just do this time check to make sure we stay on course here. There we go. Alright, so it is 4:15 UTC right now. We are predicting... Wow, really? Arrival in 30 minutes. Wow, okay, so we actually we need to do our arrival preparation ASAP. I had no idea it was going to be that close. So we've got operational flight plan. So I know when top of descent is scheduled for. So right on. PCAP, ROKIB, so after ROKIB. And then, yeah, we have like, not very long, before the top of descent. Okay, so let's actually start briefing our approach now. So per the flight plan, we'll be arriving via the Gitad to Foxtrot approach. Okay, we do have some time. That seems incredibly quick. But maybe we'll change once we get the approach programmed in. So, for LIRA, what's the Gitad, what is it? Gitad to Foxtrot arrival. Slow down 250 knots. And flight level 10,000. And I continue to slow down from there. Okay. Interesting. No, that's the two. Oh, I see. The 2 Foxtrot goes this way. Okay. And then the approach, we're coming in, it looks like, what, runway 33. There's the localizer there. These are all circling approaches. The ILS is on runway 15. Wait, no, sorry, we are going runway 15. Yeah, oh, thank God. So let's see the difference between these two ILS approaches. Okay, looks like we'll be doing this straight in. Just want to see if this changes. So from Lockery to 12 Lockery, that all seems the same. Circling approach is coming in from the Rome VOR. What is different here? Required. Transition level all the same. Less angles. All look the same. I'm really struggling to see the differences here, except for this DME requirement. Look, we holding. Maybe miss approach is different. Let's see. Okay. Alright, let's do the Z. Let's do the Z. Actually, let's do the Y. Misapproach would allow us to attempt another one. Normally I would expect ATC to help us figure out which one to use, but we'll do the ILS Yankee. Okay. So let's get that programmed into the box. So at LIRA, arrival, ILS 15 Yankee, and the GTOD, oh, was it 2 Foxtrots? 2 Foxtrots. GTOD 2 Foxtrot arrival, and our VIA, I believe it's Lockery. Is it? Yeah, Lockery. See what the other options are. It's not CMP. It's not Rome. Yeah, it is definitely Lockery. Go ahead and insert. And make sure that looks kosher on the plan. So, CHI, GTOD. And then there's Lockery. Direct down to the runway. That looks great. That looks great. Very happy with that. Alright. Let's see if that updated our arrival time. No, it's still quick. It's still like half an hour. Runway LS mismatch. That's not good. More rad navs. Oh, we need to clear that out. That was from before. That's better. That's better. Yeah, that matches. Speaking of, let's see what else we want to put in here. We can put Rome, VOR. Don't think we'll need Ostia. We'll need the camp on the misapproach. So let's do Rome and camp. Great. That is fine. Let's go ahead and figure out our top of descent. So, actually, looking back at that chart, we'll want to be at 10,000 feet by Gitad. So, using this calculator, 85 nautical miles to get down there. So let's go ahead in our progress. Let's put in a Gitad. Alright, so got some time, and then in our fixes, let's clear RTT. And put in a Gitad. And was it 85 miles? So let's do 95 mile radius rather. So that on our little map here, perfect. When we reach that, we can begin our descent. So we are very close to our descent. About 40 nautical miles. And in that time, I think we've already cleared the Alps. Yeah, leaving the Alps behind us there. Sunrise coming. Might beat the sunrise, honestly. We'll see. Normally I would read about the destination we're flying to, but since this has been such a quick flight, I don't think we'll have time to. Though I can say I've been to Rome a number of times. Big fan. Well, I've flown into Rome twice. I've been to Italy, I think, half a dozen times in the last 10 years, all for pleasure. North of Italy, south of Italy. Most recently it was in Puglia, which was a ton of fun, just like culinary and historical adventures all the way through. Puglia was fantastic because it's so hot there in the summer, and the beaches on either side of the peninsula there is just, you know, they're both very distinct. I found the beaches on the west side were better for like beach days, but the landscapes on the east side were just so dramatic. These giant cliff faces and natural caves. It's just so much fun to explore. And Italy itself is just such a fantastic country. So much history and culture. And if all you know about Italy is what you get at like American Italian restaurants, you're definitely missing out. Allow folks to roam the cabin for a bit before we descend. But yeah, in terms of favorite places I've been in Italy, of course Tuscany is a total highlight. Beautiful medieval city called San Gimignano. Siena, of course Florence is fantastic as well. I had an amazing lunch in Bologna. Venice is worth seeing once, but it is a bit of a tourist nightmare. Lake Como, very relaxing. Milan, I mean, it's like the New York City of Italy. Everyone is beautifully dressed, very fit. Like it's the fashion center of the country, so it's kind of understandable. Turin in Piemonte, surprising city. Also had a blast there. Learned all about the history of Nutella and the hazelnut trade. I always thought of Nutella as a chocolate product, but since going to Turin, I now absolutely think of it as a hazelnut product, because that is what it is. And then, of course, you don't really think about this as Italy, but it definitely is. But Sardinia, which is an island off the west coast of Italy. Very unique culture and food all its own. But definitely had some phenomenal memories there as well. The Amalfi Coast, south of Rome, oh geez, also stunningly beautiful. Parts of Italy I have yet to see include basically like the southwest, like the toe and foot of the boot, Naples on south. I did visit a town outside of Pompeii that was also decimated by that eruption, that famous eruption. But I didn't actually get to go to Pompeii itself. We're about 5 miles out from our descent. I'm going to start plugging this into the FMC. Let's begin our managed descent. I built in a bit of a buffer, so we should be fine, but let's go ahead and do it now. Thrust idle, descend. Ah, yeah, interdestination data. That's a great idea. Thank you, Box. So, looking at Rome, I remember it being now 1,007 millibars, so it has changed. Temperature, so 11 degrees, 40 at 7. And transition altitude is 6,000 feet. Nice and low. And don't think we need to worry about terrain. Still need to do some more research on whether we use Bauer or radio. I think if radio is available, we use radio. But in this case, it would be for ILS Category C, 379. That's all set. Looking at this here, this 8.3 miles to Rome, there's this height restriction, 3,000 barrow. Oh, that's the initial approach fix, okay. Cool, so we want to be down there. And we'll be at 250 knots, we'll be at 10,000, but then we'll want to slow down before we get to RA421. And then we'll want to at Tiber. I want to get down to 6,000. We want to get down to 3,000 before we get to, okay. So we'll just keep an eye on this as we get closer. So what is the local time? It's the same time zone as Innsbruck, okay. Yeah, I don't think we'll get there to see the sunrise. Alright, let's do our, make sure we've covered everything on the descent checklist. Set our auto brake to low. Actually, let's prep our... How about actually look at the runways? Runway 15, and nice and long, 2,200 meters. Actually, it's not crazy long, honestly. Yeah, let me check out my landing calculator and see what we need to do here. LIRA, get METAR. Heading 149. First thrust, yes. Overweight, no. Approach speed seems really slow. I don't think that's right. Let's actually see what's in the box. Our F speed here is 146. So the length in meters, 2203. Let's see. Alright, so I want to use medium. I think I'm using this calculator right, but again, that runway does seem a little short. So speed it is. And we won't need anti-ice on this approach. Altitude in the FCU. Alright. So far so good. Bringing up the camp VOR. Haven't got Rome yet. 20 miles off from Gitad. See if we can't figure out what cities we're flying over real quick. We have a few minutes to kill. Through the world map. So we are, where are we? Oh, Perugia, okay. Montepulciano to the west. Oh, we're already well south of Florence. Siena, okay. Orvieto. Oh, I've been to Orvieto. That was a beautiful city. Oh, wow. Here's another one of those medieval cities. Beautiful Duomo there. Very unusual art style. Kind of like this black and white pattern. But yeah, we'll be flying over Rome City on our final approach. That'll actually be really fun if I have time to actually look around. To see if we see any sights. Alright, let's get that chart back up. Speed Alt Star. Yeah. Got to altitude about 10 miles out. Alright, 10,000 feet, we'll get those landing lights on. The seatbelt sign back on. Constraint set. Turn on our landing system. It's still pretty early, but it's on the approach checklist. And our rad navs are selected and identified. And we have our first constraint coming up. .230 knots. Let's see. This actually be a good test to see if the fly-by-wire is now actually adhering to speed constraints. Let's remind ourselves what altitudes we want to be at these various points. So, flight level 100 and by Tiber okay. So at Tiber, then we'll descend down to 6,000. Went to 3,000, where we'll pick up the ILS. Easy. R331. Oh, interesting. Oh, wait, sorry, wait, there's RA407. Oh, I see, yeah. If we're doing the circle approach, we want to be at 6,000. That's what... So we're actually not flying this part of the approach, I don't think. The RA407 is where we link up with the straight-in ILS approach. So in any case, we'll want to get down to 6,000 after Tiber, and then 3,000 after RA406. Oh, hello, clouds. Nice to see you. Clouds have to be one of my favorite parts of this game, I swear. And I'm sorry for calling it a game. It's a sim. It's a simulator. Interesting. Still haven't picked up that Rome VOR. I would have expected to by now. Oh, there it is. Just picked it up. Alright, let's see. Are we going to slow down automatically in managed speed mode? That is the question. Yes, we are. Oh, fantastic. I love it. Fly-by-wire, you guys are amazing. Alright, because I don't want to be chasing my tail, I'm going to start descending to 6,000 now. Yeah, because of these speed restrictions, we're also going to have to configure early, which I'm definitely not mad at. Alright, we're going to get right below green dot speed, so we'll go ahead and extend flaps 1. That should help with the descent as well. There's the ILS. Speed check flaps 1. And I'll get us down now to 3,000. Yeah, that should be plenty of time. I was about to apply some speed brake, but I don't think we'll need it. I don't think we'll need it. Yeah, we're comfortably below the glide slope still. Already nice and slow too, so I'm not really rushing to activate the approach phase. QNH, I think it was 1007. Let's double check. 1007, great. There's the decel point. RA407 is there. So once we cross RA407, we'll activate, we'll the approach phase will activate automatically, but we'll turn on approach mode on the FMC. Oh, hello, cloud. But yeah, once we hit that point, we'll activate the approach mode and start configuring further. We are right where we want to be for capturing that glide slope at the initial approach fix. Speed Alt star. Alt. Okay, here comes the decel point. And there's the approach. Go ahead and activate the approach mode. Loc star. Glide slope armed. Cat 3 dual. Autopilot 1 and 2. S speed, speed checked, flaps 2. There's the runway. Localizer locked on. Gear down. Spoilers armed. Nose wheel taxi. Rome traffic, Lufthansa 984 on 10-mile final to LIRA. Runway 15. Speed checked, flaps 3. And flaps full. Glide slope. Checked our misapproach initial altitude 5,000, so we'll set that.
2,500.
Radio altimeter is alive. visual on the runway. Can we see anything? Not really. Cheat and take a quick peek around. Yeah, can't pick out any landmarks from here. I really don't know where they are in relation to the airport either. So, alright, well I should focus on the approach. Practically no wind, so at 1,000 feet I'll take over. Losing the center line a bit.
500. 400. Minimum.
Continue.
300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Decel. 70 knots. Alright, wasn't too bad. Curious to see on the replay. I felt like a soft landing, although it was still a little off the center line, which is frustrating. Where's the turnoff? Okay, I think we're coming up on the turnoff here. So I did download premium scenery for this, but we'll stop here. Rome traffic, Lufthansa 9084, clear runway 15 at LIRA. Alright. Let's go ahead and do our after landing checklist. Disarm ground spoilers, landing lights, retract. Radar off. Engine mode selector normal, flaps retract. TCAS to standby. ATC is required. APU start. 1, 2, 3. And also, I think at this part, maybe we put the strobes back to auto, if I'm not mistaken. Alright. Alright. So, let's figure out where to park. This is where we are. I guess we'll just go down taxiway A. There's the main terminal here. So C29C. Oh, we should have done this before. Let's see if 202 or 201 will have us. But I guess we'll go down taxiway A, and they'll just dump us there. So we'll see when we get closer. Okay. Clean this up. Planning system off. Flight directors off. I do wish that you could read these signs from further away. I've been flying so much at night now, I'm not sure if it's different during the day, but it's just frustrating. Like even, yeah, I should be able to read that. But hey guys, welcome to Rome. Local time is, I don't know, 6:08 in the morning. Oh, interesting. There are ground aircraft here. Must be part of the scenery because I have that turned off. It's nice though. It's a nice touch. Slow down a bit here because we have some aprons. Okay, I guess there are no jetways, so we can go around the corner here. That's fine. Oh, I see. SA, SB. So yeah, let's go down SB. Sorry, Sierra Bravo. Let's go to the second one here on the left. 111. 112. Stay nice and slow. And turn. And stop. That's good. That's good enough. Doing a self-directed thing here. Alright, so let's go ahead and APU is running, so we can shut down those engines. Turn off that seatbelt sign. Alright, everybody. Very nice. Parking brakes on, anti-ice is off, launch masters are off, seatbelts are off. Fuel pumps, we can turn those off now. ATC is on standby. Exterior lights are off. I probably should have turned off the landing lights. Oh, they were off, but I should have turned this off before I turned it to the stand. Sorry, I keep blinding people. Beacons off, strobes off, keep nav and logo on while we're in here. And let's see if we can call some of those services over. So passengers. Yep, there are the stairs. Baggage, external power. Is that going to connect? Unclear. Oh. Yep, it is going to connect. Great. Alright, how's external power looking? External power is available, so we'll go ahead and connect that. And then we'll there's no way to offload passengers, but we'll assume they're offloading right now. So I'll go ahead and clean up the rest of the cockpit before I turn the APU off, assuming that those folks are still getting off the plane. So start shutting this down for the next crew. This is probably the last flight of the day here. At least we're assuming, so I'll turn the aiders off. We'll keep the ground supply on. Okay. What next? What next? What next? Let's keep cleaning this up. Unlock a door. I think it was unlocked the whole time anyway. Overhead. We'll get these lights off too. Oh, APU is still on. Oh yeah, because folks are deplaning. So let's go ahead and let's assume they're all off. We could turn APU off. We can turn the packs off. Crew supply off. See how we're doing on the exterior. Well, that looks like... Oh well, no baggage. Let's get the baggage people before we shut down. Here they come. And once that cargo door opens, which it is, we can finish the shutdown process. and take one last look at our Lufthansa livery, which we'll be saying goodbye to after this flight. We'll be flying, I believe, in an old Alitalia livery next on our way to Athens. Here comes the baggage train there. Great, so I think we'll take a little screenshot here for the next thumbnail. And we'll continue with our shutdown procedures. So at this point, we turn the navigator lights off. And yeah, overhead light off. And shut down external power. And get those batteries off. And we're back to cold and dark, even though ISS is still on, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh, nope, there it goes. Oh, wow. I wonder if that's how it works in a real plane, if the power persists for just a little bit before that screen goes dark. But that's it. That is our flight into Rome from Innsbruck. That was a very eventful stream. It ended up being one of the longer ones. I wasn't anticipating that, but due to some of the bugs we encountered, we had to restart a few things, and we had to repeat the cold and dark side of the plane when I was hoping just to do a turnaround. But it was fun nonetheless. We got to try the Innsbruck approach again. And they had a nice quick hop to Rome. And now as we continue our trip east, hopefully we'll see more daylight in the flights to come. And we get to enjoy more of the scenery that Microsoft Flight Simulator has to offer us. So thanks again for joining. I hope you guys had fun following this flight. Hopefully learned a thing or two. I enjoyed it as always. And hope to see you next time.